My name's David Lee Hoffman. I'm from Oakland, California. I'm going to be 70 next year, and in this time that I've been on the planet, I've spent a lot of time traveling and learning about the richness of all the wonderful people that live on the planet. I never imagined being in the tea business. I enjoyed drinking tea because I had a difficult time finding tea here. I started traveling to China mainly to support my own tea habit, not to start a business. But it became so popular and friends were asking, oh, please bring back some for me, that eventually I had to choose between either having a tea business or having a textile business. I chose tea. Before I left the country in 1963, I was not at all interested in tea. For me, tea was Lipton tea bags or instant tea. But after I started traveling out of the country, I noticed that most of the world were tea drinkers, so I started drinking tea. But it wasn't until I got to India, and then we were drinking pu'er teas every day. This was in 1965, 66. I realized there were so many different grades and qualities of tea, and I started to enjoy tea for the taste, not just for the habit, drinking a hot cup of tea, but actually for the flavor, for the taste that it gave me. And it reminded me of the essence of the earth, because when you're drinking tea, you're just drinking the simple leaves off the plant and adding water to it. And that combination, water and leaves, was very seductive to my mind. And I learned after many years of traveling in China that you couldn't get good tea grown in bad soil. It had to be good soil. And that was the indicator for me. That showed me that by improving the soil, you could improve the quality of the tea. I think the one distinguishing feature about tea that makes it really exciting to drink is, does the tea have vitality? Is there a life force in there that you drink and you go, ah, this is great? And the most exciting teas I drank were those that were grown wild, just wild out in the mountains, because it had a life force to it. And I think that's what I look for. It's more of a challenge these days to find simpler ways of living that don't require money, because the whole world is stressing right now, not for money, but from the lack of money, or from the desire to want more money. And it's creating havoc with our life systems on the planet. So my hope is that what I have created here, what I'm learning about turning our waste into something useful, or as they say, waste is not waste until it's wasted. So we try to have zero waste here, but it's really difficult in this economy, because you're always going to end up with a plastic bag or something that doesn't go back into the food chain. But we've minimized the amount of waste here, and ultimately when the place is finished, I think I could demonstrate that you can live in zero waste with maximum comfort. You know, when I do my tastings in China, if I'm trying to evaluate a tea, I use ATV. A is the aroma, and then I rate that 1 to 5. T is the taste, 1 to 5. And V is the value. You know, if you could have a great tea that's the cost of fortune, that may not be worth it. So the value of that goes way down. For me, growing food and nourishing the soil and then picking the food and eating it, and it's all about the soil. It's all about soil fertility. And the thing about tea is that it's simply the dried leaf off a plant. And if it's not grown in good soil, it's not going to taste good. That's what happens with tea. It's a relationship. Something happens to the tea plant as it's growing in good soil, and it absorbs, it takes up the nutrients from the soil. You know, I built a reputation from having good tea and hopefully making people happy. But what it gave me, I mean, money was a small part of the benefit of having a business. When I think of all the friends I met through tea, I'm so touched. We have wonderful friends, and so many of them we met through tea. I think that time I spent, the 10 years I spent living on the road, I got to experience many different cultures on the planet. And people's lives are so rich, and when you ask to learn from their culture, most people are so happy to share their experience. And for me, this provided a very rich web of life. So when I stopped traveling and settled down here in Lagunitas, and I've been here for 40 years now. I've been building this place for 40 years. I borrowed on so many different cultures and so many different places in the world where I've learned things. I was like a sponge traveling around, and I absorbed so much from so many people. And now it's time to wring the sponge out and give back. We have to find a way of living that gives us peace and tranquility. For me, I guess tea does that.